Welcome back to another edition of the All Night Long Wrestling Podcast. We are your hosts. He's a Stallion. I am the Enforcer, and we are back with yet another edition. We've been off for 2 weeks, frankly, because I got two ginormous wisdom teeth ripped out of my mouth. Fucking horrible experience. You could hear the roots being ripped out. I was wide awake for the whole thing. It sounded like a tree falling in the woods in my mouth. You've been there, right, buddy? It
feels good. Yeah, it really is. They got all sorts of different contraptions. They got the little mini shoehorn thing, right? I feel like they just kind of get it out of there, a crowbar type situation. And they got some pliers. You can really just tear that stuff and the nerves and the roots right out of there. So, I mean,
the cool thing is I only got half of them, so I have to go back for the other two. He's like, oh, come back at your convenience for the other two. And as I'm leaving, the girl's like, oh, do you want to make an appointment now? I'm like, no,
I don't.
I'm never going to come back. I'm going to do it myself. You know what? I'll get drunk and I'll have you do it. That's what I'll do. They stuck this like it looked like a thing that, you know, like if you got like a table and one of the legs is off, you stick a wedge under it. They stuck it in the right side of my mouth, and he's like, this is gonna be uncomfortable. I'm like, yeah, the whole thing was uncomfortable, but I can talk, I can almost eat normal, and I'm back, man. I'm back. I appreciate you checking in on me, seeing how I was feeling. You know, nothing you can't do. This guy's working out every day, starting a new job, running the All Night Long Wrestling Podcast. It's really, it's a tough job, but somebody's got to do it, and that somebody is the Stallion, buddy. So thank you for everything. Appreciate you.
Well, I look terrible, and I look like all those things are happening. So, I mean, I'm sure people would comment on that if they see the video. So here we are. Well, yeah, I'm not doing as bad as some of the people in WWE/NXT though this weekend. I'll say that. That's it. Yesterday was a tough day, and I know that's kind of what we're gonna focus on. But there was some news had come out late in the afternoon before SmackDown that there was a meeting happening backstage between Adam Cole and Vince McMahon, and Adam Cole's contract is allegedly running up or ending in August. He signed an extension. A short extension after the Great American Bash. So the rumor is that after SummerSlam, his contract is up. So I think people were kind of intrigued by the fact that he was going to be meeting with Vince McMahon. Would this mean that he would get a spot on the main roster in some capacity, or would he decide to leave WWE and potentially sign with AEW? So there was some positive intrigue, I felt like, going into SmackDown because of that.
I watched SmackDown.
Yeah. And then sure enough, during SmackDown, like 15 people got released from NXT in the middle of it. So including some ones that I think, and we'll go through them all. I know you got the names, were pretty surprising just given, I don't know, a lot of different things. I mean, we'll go through it all. But there were some guys that had been pushed in NXT. There are some guys that had just been recently signed in the last year. Some guys that were young, some wrestlers that were young, some that were a little bit later in their careers. But, I don't really know how to explain a lot of it.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. So I have a list here of all of the 2021 releases. I love how Windows just wants to restart in the middle of a podcast. Like they don't know that I'm doing something, right?
Bill Gates.
Bill Gates. Well, he just bought them. I'm going to list all of the 2021 releases. I believe this is chronological order, and I'll stop when we get to the ones that happened yesterday. So... Hope you have about an hour. Okay. Tino Sabatelli, Santana Garrett, Fandango, Tyler Breeze, Tony Nese, Arya Daivari, August Gray, Ruby Riott, Aleister Black, Buddy Murphy, Lana, Braun Strowman, Velveteen Dream, Alexander Wolf, Ezra Judge, Skylar Story, Vanessa Bourne, Kavita Devi, Jessamine Duke, Wesley Blake, Mojo Rawley, Bo Dallas, Tucker, Mickey James, Chelsea Green, Kalisto, Samoa Joe, although he's back, Peyton Royce, Billy Kay, Andrade, Steve Cutler, Big Show, Lars Sullivan, well, Big Show, I think it's contract right now, but Lars Sullivan, Samir Singh, Sunil Singh, Kurt Stallion, Arturo Huas, Marina Shafir, Killian Dane, he was on our show, Matt Martell, Chase Parker, that is 2.0, I believe, right?
Yes.
Here we go, Bray Wyatt, Ric Flair, Desmond Troy, Stephon Smith, Giant Zangier. And now we get up to yesterday's releases. Asher Hale. You and I didn't even put two and two together. That's our boy Anthony Henry.
Yes. Yeah, some of those WWE names, I have to go back and look and see what their names were before signing there. And I got to be honest, there's so many people that they signed that I lose track of whose name is what. Like August Gray was
Retro AG.
Retro Anthony Green, and apparently Asher Hale was Anthony Henry.
Yeah, Anthony Henry is a phenomenal talent who was on, I think we talked yesterday, maybe he had like 8 or 9 matches, and one of them was on NXT. Or no, that was Alex Zane. We'll kind of go through this later. Zechariah Smith, Kona Reeves, Ari Sterling, Jake Atlas, Bronson Reed, Tyler Rust, Leon Ruff, Mercedes Martinez, and Bob Fish. Bob Fish, I don't know if you guys, nobody I don't think has even seen this shirt. This is a late limited edition Red Dragon Game of Thrones-esque shirt that Ring of Honor sold that I wore because of Bob Fish. I don't know, Joe. Out of all of these names, which one surprised you the most?
Probably Bronson Reed, because he was recently the NXT North American champion, I think a couple of months ago. And 2, because he had worked either a dark match or main event matches back, either at a Raw or a SmackDown show a couple weeks back, or maybe last month. I don't know exactly how long ago it was. So I was under the impression that he was primed for a call-up. He, when he had the North American title, he didn't have it for very long, so he lost it. I kind of figured, and then he lost to Adam Cole on an episode of NXT. So I figured that he would then be kind of making the jump to the main roster. And he's a big guy. He's athletic, and he talks pretty well. I felt like, he would be a guy that Vince would really like. And all of a sudden, he just gets released. So that one was surprising to me, just because I felt like he was a guy that was going to be on the main roster. Some of the other ones, go ahead.
To your point, remember that video package on him they had when he was going to wrestle for the North American title? It was like this great feel-good story. Yep. It was him and his wife, and it's like, Creator's got nothing for you, right? That was the one that stuck out to me. 2 other ones, Tyler Rust, Diamond Mine. What is that, a month ago? The Diamond Mine, like they promoted it on TV for a while. It kind of debuted. It wasn't the strongest debut, it's kind of a weird, help me out here. It's not a weird, but it was not lackluster. It was just a very strange pairing, because you have Malcolm Blevins leading a group of MMA fighters. I just feel like there was maybe a little bit of a disconnect, but as far as the talent in there, Tyler Rust, Roderick Strong, and
I'm not gonna remember his name, but I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
But Tyler Rust has had great matches, and he had a good storyline where he was cocky, he was arrogant, where he was putting himself in a little too deep waters, and Malcolm Blevins had to reel him in. Good storyline, good wrestler, gone. I was like, that was one. Dude, the Bobby Fish one, it fucking hurts, because when we talked about Undisputed Era breaking up, we kind of feared Bob and or Rod would be the ones that are kind of the odd man out, right? Like Bobby Fish is considerably older than everybody else in the Undisputed Era, but by no means does that mean that Bobby Fish can't go just as well as any of them. And on the mic, I think Bobby Fish is a great talker. I think he's absolutely hilarious, and what he would be able to bring to NXT in terms of a trainer, to me, I thought that's right where he was going.
Yeah, I mean, me too. I thought that he would slide into a role like that, where maybe he was, wrestling more of a part-time type deal. I didn't see them giving him like a singles extended storyline. I know they kind of had him come back, and he wrestled Pete Dunne, and Dunne went over. He wrestled Roddy recently, and Roddy went over. So I figured that might be the role he gets into. And I also felt like, again, not knowing what's going to happen with Adam Cole, but just the capability of having all 4 of those guys still, under contract or on the roster, you could potentially do a reunion, a year or 2 from now or whatever, and in some capacity if you wanted to, and all those guys had stayed. But now Bobby Fish is not there. and we don't know what's going to happen with Adam Cole. So, and it seems like if he stays, he might end up on the main roster. I'm assuming that's the plan. If he does stay, if he doesn't stay, then he's probably going to go to AEW. So, the idea of a Undisputed Era reunion seems to be out the window right now.
Which is something that sucks, because I feel like there was still more meat on the bone for the Undisputed Era, and if those guys, unfortunately, if they were going to get called up to the main roster, their best shot would have been as a unit. To me, I feel like that would have been the numbers. None of those guys are big men. You know, none of those guys are viewed like the big guys. So I think if you're going to bring them up as a unit, there's more staying power. There's more like storylines about them. But I mean, what Mercedes Martinez, I think she's done a really good job in NXT. They had brought her up and they put her in the Retribution, Sanity 2.0 with some really shitty stuff. Leon Ruff was the North American champion. He had some really good matches with Johnny Gargano. Really like Leon Ruff. I don't know, man. Jake Atlas also has been on TV pretty frequently. He's a really good talent. So we have all these guys that are just released. Zechariah Smith. I'm not ringing a bell. Who's Zechariah Smith?
I'll have to look that up. But yeah, I mean, I guess just while I look that up.
And Denzel Desjournets. Remember the wrestler from Evolve that we saw? He looked like, built like Kurt Angle, wearing the singlet. Really good gimmick. Like I thought he had a lot of potential, and they released him overnight too. So, the word is that they want NXT to go younger. What did you send me this morning, Jeff? They want them to go younger, and they're going to change up the lighting. They're going to change up all this stuff. It's their best show. So I have a feeling, this is just my gut, if they are going to change everything up, they're going to make NXT less of a wrestling show and more of a sports entertainment show. Because in the eyes of Vince and Bruce and the people that, when they come from NXT and they get to the WWE, they're not ready for it. Because look what they did to Keith Lee. Look what they're doing to Karrion Kross. Like, they don't view these guys like the fans do. And that sucks, dude.
Apparently, Zechariah Smith was a 7-foot former basketball player, so not who I thought he was. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing about the mix of people that they let go is interesting. So I could see, the Mercedes Martinez one. We both like her. We're both fans of hers, and she does a very good job. But I could almost see why that happened, because she was in NXT. They put her on the main roster in Retribution. The rumor or the word was that she didn't want to be in that gimmick, and then she went back down to NXT. She did a couple of jobs, I think, to Raquel Gonzalez and Xia Li, I think most recently. Yep. And I could see just again like where she's at in her career. If they're going to go younger in NXT, like you were referencing before, I could see why maybe they would do that. Again, maybe she's someone that could be a trainer too. We don't know what happened with all these folks, right? She may have been in a situation where she said, I still want to wrestle for another 5 years. And they offered her an opportunity to be a trainer. She didn't want to do it, or it could have just been a straight, release and, whatever. So those folks I could see, some reasons behind, but some of the other ones, like you said, like the Alex Zane, the Jake Atlas, like these are young, talented performers that fall into the same category as Kurt Stallion and Anthony Green that they just signed in the last year and a half. The pandemic screwed a lot of things up, of course, for so many people, not giving them the opportunity to wrestle or be on TV. But why sign them in the first place? And that makes me think that overall, the company either doesn't have a plan, or their plan has significantly changed from what it was a year and a half ago, when they were signing people to anybody they could to contracts to have them in the organization, to now where we have this, I guess, Nick Khan type approach where they're trimming stuff in all these different areas. It's not even all just the performers, right? There was stuff internal to the company. I think it was a lot of stuff related to the network. Yeah, like people like that. So
Jeff Jarrett.
So what happened with Jeff Jarrett?
Apparently, rumor has it he was released in May, and nobody really talked about it. Also, JoJo, Bray Wyatt's wife, was released, and nobody talked about it. So
That would explain why Jeff Jarrett is able to do his podcast. I was looking for that information because he's doing his podcast now. He talks very openly about a lot of things that happened in his time when he was wrestling in WWE. And that made me wonder if he was still under contract or not, but I couldn't find anything that indicated whether he was still there. So that would explain a lot about him too. So yeah, there seems to be doing a lot of house cleaning to become maybe that's just more of a, you know, trying to get more profit or the bottom line or whatever it is. I don't know. But they did just get billions of dollars or whatever it was from Peacock.
And they're doing another Blood Money show in October, I think, right? With the Saudi show. So you know that's going to be.
Yeah, it's the rumor.
So if they want NXT to go younger, right, and like help me figure out who they could bring on NXT. You're right. They signed Alex Zane, which. Not for nothing. When they signed Alex Zane, I'm like, what the fuck? They're not going to do anything with Alex Zane. I've seen Alex Zane. I wasn't too familiar with him up until like middle of last year. I saw him at GCW, and I think he was in Ring of Honor for a little bit. And I'm watching him, and I hear that WWE signs him, and I'm like, they have no use, no disrespect to Alex Zane. His style, nothing he does to me would carry over to the WWE. They signed Alex Zane because somebody read a dirt sheet and like, oh, we better sign this guy before somebody else does. That's kind of what I think the mentality was. Anthony Henry, on the other hand, evolved stud matches with Darby. I think Anthony Henry is like 37 or 38 years old. He looks like he's 21. If Anthony Henry walked by me and I was a bartender, I would ID him. He's a very young looking dude. Like, he can have a really good match. Like, and the thing is that everybody's like, oh, Adam Cole to the main roster. Anthony Henry and Alex Zane are that same size as Adam Cole, right? Like, can you picture a world where Adam Cole goes to the main roster and has the astronomical success that he is actually capable of?
No, I don't think so. I really don't. It's, you know, I mean, when you look at some of the guys that maybe are similar size to him, in terms of height, and you know, I just don't see. Look at the champions on each of the two shows right now: Bobby Lashley and Roman Reigns. Those are big dudes.
Yeah.
I don't see any way, shape, or form that Vince McMahon and or Bruce Pritchard are going to have Adam Cole in a match with those guys and have him legitimately beat them. I don't see them doing that. It just doesn't. I know we can make the comparison to Daniel Bryan. I think the thing with Daniel Bryan is that Daniel Bryan got hot because of the whole Yes Movement thing. They never planned on giving him the title to begin with.
They gave the point. The plan was Batista.
Right. Yeah, the plan was Batista Orton here. So the reason, a big reason why that ended up happening was because, you know, CM Punk walked out. It was supposed to be Punk Triple H that year, and then it was supposed to be Batista Orton. And Daniel Bryan was supposed to fight Sheamus again. But he got hot, right? So could Adam Cole get super hot and, you know, ascend to the top of the roster? It's possible, but I don't think it's likely. He's not going to be put in that spot. Even if the time even came that happened, he's going to go through a long period of, you know, jobbing, losing matches when he shouldn't. You know, I feel like he shouldn't be. Maybe winning like the U.S. title or Intercontinental title or something like that. That's what I would see. I don't see them putting him right into a main event slot and putting him right into the title picture right away. He's not going to beat those two guys. I don't see it.
No, and by the time that you've built up Adam in the WWE's mind, by the time you built him up, he will have lost so much luster because of the 50-50 bullshit. Dude, Keith Lee and Karrion Kross have traded wins over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Keith Lee hasn't beat anybody. No disrespect to Keith Lee. We love Keith Lee. But the way they position Keith Lee is a bottom of the barrel kind of enhancement talent almost. And you have him go toe to toe with Kross. Kross beats him, and then you have him beat
It's clear that they don't have a long-term plan for him right now, right? Because if you just look at since he came back from his, we don't know exactly what his issues were in terms of health or anything like that, and when he was out. But his first show back was a surprise challenger for Bobby Lashley, he got beat in like 6 or 7 minutes. Pretty handily.
No offense, yeah.
Yeah. He then fought Karrion Kross, lost to Karrion Kross after Karrion Kross had lost to Jeff Hardy the week before, right? Then he beats Karrion Kross the next week. To me, that says they don't have any long-term plan to keep it. They just brought him back that week because he was ready to come back and they thought it'd be a cool surprise, and it was. But then he just, he loses to Bobby Lashley, he loses to Karrion Kross, and he beats Karrion Kross. He's just treading water right now, and they don't have anything. Doesn't feel like they have anything special planned for him.
Yeah, I'm going to bring up 2 points. One, Bubba Ray said earlier this week on Busted Open, he's like, no disrespect, but Keith Lee's dead in the water. No, Karrion Kross is like, Karrion Kross is dead in the water. There's no coming back from Karrion Kross, and I completely agree. The angle that I heard was that he's going to lose until Scarlett comes, and then Scarlett's going to rejuvenate him. Scarlett and him are working pretty good together in NXT. You're getting 1.5, 1.7 million people watching Raw each week. You could bet your ass that the people that are what's NXT's kind of base range now? They've been 500 plus for the last 2 weeks. But is that because of sci-fi? Before that,
yeah,
30.
It's probably like 600,000 or 700,000 people on a regular basis. So that's less than half of the Raw audience.
Yeah. So those people know who carry those people that are watching NXT. They're watching Raw for the most part, right? Like I would say, 85 to 90% of them are watching Raw. Duke's watching Raw. I know he is. So you can't bring in. Why do you? It would be like bringing in Hacksaw Jim Duggan without a 2x4. It would be like bringing in. That was for some reason that was the best example I had off the top of my head. That's terrible. Give me another example, Joe. It would be like bringing in somebody without like Macho Man without Miss Elizabeth.
Literally exactly what I was just gonna say.
Yeah.
It's like if you had established Macho Man with Miss Elizabeth, let's say somewhere. Although I guess that was about a fair comparison. I was gonna say like when WCW brought him in, he didn't have Miss Elizabeth, but at the end of his career in the WWF, he didn't. He was a commentator. There was no association at that point in time, so it is different. But yes, exactly.
Bulldogs without Matilda.
Yeah, there you go. See, Duke agrees with that.
Love Duke.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, you're exactly right, and I don't even understand like why the whole thing about him in NXT. Clearly, to me, the two benefits to him are one, the fact that he had Scarlett, and two, he has the cool entrance. And when he comes out on Raw, he has no Scarlett and no cool entrance. He just walks out with the NXT belt around his waist.
Yeah, and he tries Karrion Kross' strong point will never be cutting a promo. That's just it. Like there are people that can cut a promo. Karrion Kross is not one of them, but he doesn't have to be when you have a manager. So you neuter the guy who already was like getting made fun of on NXT for not being a good wrestler, as it is, and then you bring whatever. That's one. And two, I want to bring up a point that our dear friend Kyle made in the group chat about Max Caster. I'm just kidding. It's not about Max Caster. I'm not gonna go there. He said Vince and everybody want Adam Cole to be the next Shawn Michaels, and then he compared a picture and he sent it. I'm like, yeah, if he grew like 5 inches, and then Kyle sent a picture of Adam Cole and Shawn Michaels like remotely close to each other. Joe, you and I have been next to both Adam Cole and Shawn Michaels in real life. Adam Cole is your height. You're 5'9", 5'10". I'm 5'7". Adam Cole does not tower over me. We have a picture of all three of us. You guys are the same height, right? And the other thing is Adam Cole is not 5'9" or 5'10", 220 like Taz. Adam Cole is 5'9", maybe $180, like maybe 190. Shawn Michaels is a legit 6'1", 220, 230. There's a big difference in size between Adam Cole and Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. When they talk about Shawn at the age in his early 30s, it's just going to keep happening, so we're just going to deal with it. In his early 30s, he's listed at 6'1". He was probably like 230 or 230, somewhere around that age. When he came back, he dropped some weight, because he had his knees and all that type of stuff. Cole is listed at 6 foot. He's definitely not 6 foot, no. But he is a lot leaner. That's the thing. He doesn't have as much muscle mass and thickness that Shawn had at the same time in his career. So I think that's what kind of makes it, you can put Shawn or Brett, guys like that, even like a CM Punk, to a certain extent, who was maybe like 220 at that point in time. Cole is probably in real life, like you said, like 200 or maybe even less. Like he's very lean. He's in good shape, but he's lean.
I think 200 is pushing it with Cole. I think Daniel Bryan is thicker than Adam Cole.
Yeah.
Like and Daniel Bryan's a vegan. God almighty. Not knocking Adam Cole. And guess what? Like being jacked up doesn't make you a great professional wrestler. Zack Sabre Jr., one of our favorites. He's like 6'6", 108 pounds. He's a complete string bean. But I mean, Bret Hart was a thick dude. Like people were like, oh, he was small for the era. He was small for the era, but Bret's still 6 foot, probably 230, 240. He was thicker and boxier than Shawn was, but I don't. All right, so that begs the question. Enough about how Adam Cole's not going to succeed in WWE through no fault of his own. It would absolutely only be the creative that would hold Adam Cole back, because Adam Cole is outstanding in any position you put him in, wherever he has been. Anything he's done, Ring of Honor World Champ, Ring of Honor Tag Team with Future Shock, Adam Cole in the Bullet Club, Adam Cole in NXT Undisputed Era. Adam Cole's money. He absolutely is money. He can talk. He can cut a promo. He can wrestle. He can give you an hour and 15 minutes. He's fantastic. But we know how they think. And if they're not going to push a Keith Lee and a Karrion Kross to that level, look at Ricochet. Ricochet's bigger than Adam Cole is. He's on main event. You know, like look at these guys you brought up. That's why I fear for Johnny Gargano. I fear for, although Tommaso Ciampa has a look like he's going to murder you. But still, for these guys, who knows what's going to happen. So let's say Adam Cole does leave the WWE. As an Adam Cole fan, I don't want him to go to AEW. I love the idea of it, and if they had 1/3 of the roster that they currently have, I'd be all for it. But if the rumors are true, Daniel Bryan and CM Punk are coming back. I mean, your main event picture off the top of my head is Hangman, Omega, Bryan, Punk, Moxley. I mean, just who else, Joe, is in?
I mean, Jericho.
I'm sorry, Malachi, Jericho,
Cody, MJF.
Yeah, it's getting too cluttered near the top. Would he have great matches with all of those guys? Yes. Would AEW give a shit that he's 5'9", 185? Absolutely not. And that's great for the fans, but I just think there's already too many personalities, and the fish tank is getting a little full. But I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, I think that's, I think that's the best place for him to go, where he'll get treated the way that he's been treated, like you said, in other places he's been, right? Most of my familiarity with Adam Cole is from his time in Ring of Honor, obviously his time in NXT the last 4 or 5 years, and some of his work in PWG. And every place he's gone, he's been, world champion or, world champion level, feuds and on the card and all that type of stuff. So I think in AEW, he could come in and, whether you could do so many things that he could do with, the Bucks being there, Britt Baker being there, and a lot of other things. I'm only assuming, I'm guessing where I think the title is going to go. I think Hangman's going to get it next. If I had to guess, I would say MJF gets it after that, and then who knows. So I think they're gonna. There's so many things that you could do with him there. He's been to New Japan a little bit. I don't think he really needs to go there. I don't know where else he would be able to go if he's. I think for him it's either WWE main roster or he's going to AEW, and that's pretty much it.
There was that one report that said one of his biggest offers is from a promotion that's not even on the radar yet, which was really intriguing to me. I don't know what that means, but you might have just talked me into this whole AEW thing, because, thinking about, first of all, everybody knows Adam Cole is dead, right? Can we just get that out of the way? Adam Cole is dead.
People forgot.
Yeah, it's the ghost of Adam Cole. If they would, you sick sons of bitches, would you let him rest in peace? Let his spirit rest. I mean, dude, could you just imagine a promo between Adam Cole and MJF, like how that? And the thing about, of course, AEW, to their detriment last week with Max Caster, there's not a lot of reins on these guys. It's about, hey, we need X amount of minutes. Here's your bullet points. Go say whatever you want to say. That's where Adam Cole is the best, right? The version of Adam Cole we got in NXT was really good. But the version of Adam Cole we had in PWG and Ring of Honor when he could be himself, that was the best Adam Cole, on the microphone. And the thing that Adam Cole, I think, can also do probably as well as anybody, if not better than anybody in AEW, is talk people to the arena. I love it. Agrees with me. God bless him. It's funny, every time Duke barks, Hunter is over there and Chance is back here. And who's that? So I don't know, man. Do you think he's going to resign? What do you think? What's your gut say?
My gut has said that I think he's going to leave.
A while, actually.
I don't. Again, listen. I can't. I don't know what his mindset is. I don't know what money he's being offered. I know that WWE probably provides a lot of financial stability for a long-term contract for some of these guys. But to me, he's, I think, like 31-ish. Now's the time, I think, for him to make a decision on what he wants to do. If he wants to give it a shot on the main roster, that's fine. But if I was him, I would not sign a long-term contract. I would sign maybe like a year or two and give it a shot. And then if it works out, you go. And if it doesn't, you leave. But to me, he, like you said earlier, he's going to have a lot more freedom in AEW. He's going to have a lot more control, I think, over what he does. And I think he's going to have a lot more feuds that he could get into that would be interesting and that he wouldn't get made to look foolish in. I'm just envisioning in my head, if he has a match with Bobby Lashley, that he's going to get beaten like 3 minutes. And that's just how I see it, how I see it going down. Because when you look at the size of him, he's probably the same size as Humberto Carrillo. So that's how I would be afraid if I was him to do that. So and given the fact that AEW has, a solid place with TNT and soon to be TBS, they have a contract with that network that's going to go for a while. Their viewership has increased to where it's been over 1 million for the last few weeks. To me, and then if they are bringing in guys like CM Punk and Bryan Danielson, that is going to spike their ratings even more, to get up to probably, I would guess, closer to 1.5 million, because those guys are draws, right? Like Daniel Bryan is a draw. He was a big draw on SmackDown. And I think CM Punk coming back is going to be a big draw as well. So I think there's going to be more of an audience. Yeah.
And by the way, Adam Cole is billed at 6 foot, 200 pounds. Carrillo is billed at 6'2", 230.
There you go.
So Carrillo legit towers over Adam Cole, if those are real numbers.
And he's getting his face kicked in by Sheamus every week whenever I turn on Raw. So I mean but that's the stuff, right? I just don't see. When you put him in there with some of the bigger guys, Adam Cole versus Lashley, Adam Cole versus Sheamus, Roman Reigns. I mean, I could see him maybe having a feud with Seth Rollins, but even like Edge, these guys are just bigger than he is. It's just going to look, when you see it on TV, it's just, I could see Vince and Bruce being like, nah. And then,
that's unbelievable, pal. Yeah. And it's unfortunate that it is that way because I get shit all the time. I'm a WWE hater and all this shit. No, I'm being very, very realistic. When is the last time that a free agent, Joe, came to the WWE that you were excited about that had success?
Probably AJ Styles.
Okay. Yeah, that's to me that, and now the poor guy. Jesus.
I mean, that's my only thought. I remember when he debuted at the Rumble, it was really cool. And I had the same concerns about him as I do for Adam Cole, but AJ's a little bit bigger, and I think they heard that reaction at the Rumble and they ended up kind of pushing him and giving him the title. But again, he was a little bit bigger of a guy. I don't know. I mean, he bulked up, right? From when he was originally in TNA and ROH when he was younger. He's bulked up a little bit. He's a bigger looking dude, and he's probably the last one I could think of that came over and had a significant impact, because he started in January, and I think by September, October, he was world champion.
Yep.
So that's the last one I can think of, and that's 4 or 5 years ago already.
Yeah, right. That was
I think 2016 is when he debuted in the Rumble, and he beat Dean Ambrose for the WWE title at like, I don't know, Backlash or something at the end of the year, towards like maybe September or October.
That was 5 years ago. Yeah. So I don't know, man. It's an interesting time. You really feel for all these people that like keep, and then like that's the other thing, like, you know, in terms of like re-signing with the company, like where's the job security now? You have this guy in Nick Khan who just seems like he doesn't give a shit about anybody. He's just cutting people left and right. Like, where's the security in that? Like, where's like, you know, we get, you know, it downside guarantee, but you know, we can cut you after so and so. Like, who would have thought Aleister Black would be gone? Who was just literally the day before he got cut, or the 3 days before he got cut, he was in the main event segment with Big E. Gone. Like, and I know Adam Cole is pretty close with Bobby Fish, is one of his good friends, just gone. So there's just a lot. Yes, Duke, you tell him, buddy. There's just a lot of uncertainty. But the thing is, like, AEW cannot and should not sign every single one of these guys because it's going to turn into WCW in 2001. And they have signed a lot of them already, but the guys they're signing, yes, they signed the Big Show and Mark Henry, but the Big Show and Mark Henry aren't taking up 50 to 20 minutes and the main event segment week after week after week. Do Joe or I love that they signed those guys? No, but they're not Hogan, Nash, and Halling the show. You sign guys that are in their prime. You signed a guy that's going to help you on your roster, like a Malachi Black. And everybody wants to shit on Cody, and nobody likes Cody, and yada yada yada. Cody just did for Malachi Black what he did for Brody Lee last year when he won the TNT title. Malachi Black beat the shit out of him, hit him with black mass, and pinned him with his foot on his chest, letting you know, the viewer, holy shit, Malachi Black is somebody important. So I have more faith in AEW taking a guy like Adam Cole, who is just literal dollar signs. You look and you see dollar signs, or even taking Ruby Soho, formerly known as Ruby Riott, and utilizing her the right way. Like because first of all, in AEW, you have Dark Elevation, Rampage, and Dynamite, and then you have one quarterly show every year, which is going to be like their Clash of the Champions kind of thing. So like, there's enough TV time, but the thing is, when you know, with Raw's roster and SmackDown's roster, and NXT's roster, it's huge, but you still get the same matches every single week. You know, Apollo and Big E wrestled like every Friday from March into June, but you have all of these people sitting and catering. So if you're going to have a large roster, you don't have to do this 50-50 booking shit because you're worried somebody's going to get hurt. Tell a good story, make the person care about the wrestler, and they're going to be interested in your product.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where Dynamite has been a lot more successful, in my opinion, on a consistent basis of keeping their talent looking stronger. You know, WWE only seems to do it with certain guys for certain periods of time, right? I mean, they're doing it with Roman Reigns right now. They're doing it with Bobby Lashley right now, but both of those guys have gone through periods where they did stuff there. You know, it's more so Lashley, I think, where he ended up looking foolish or whatever. Well, yeah, and Reigns did some stuff too when he was a babyface, and you know, whatever. So they go hot and cold with stuff like that. But AEW doesn't really job guys out. Like even a guy like, you know, Jericho or Moxley, who were previously the champion and they're not anymore. They're still in high profile feuds and they're not losing a ton of matches each. They maybe lose here and there, but they're not losing a ton of matches. So I think that's the thing, right? But if, you know, somebody on WWE who was the champion, you know, like Seth Rollins, who I like a lot, but I mean, how many times does he lose? I don't really keep track of stuff. So yeah, I think it's a safer place to be if you're more protective of your character. Bret Hart would really love it there.
I was stiff. Well, why would Bret Hart like it there?
Well, he's very protective of his character, so that's what I'm saying. I think he would love it there. Steve Austin too, I guess, to a certain extent, right?
Taz, you know, Taz does like it there. So I feel like Duke is doing something crazy over there.
He is. I need to get something away from him. So I don't know if you.
All right. Well, listen, we'll wrap this up. We're at the time limit anyway. Appreciate everybody checking out the show. Everywhere you social media at All Night Long WP. Also check it out. I am the new reviewer for Beyond Wrestling on PW. on PW Ponderings. Check him out at PW Ponderings. You can find Joe's work over at blogofdoom.com, where he reviews all New Japan Pro Wrestling shows, and we together review Ring of Honor on WrestlingHeadlines.com. So we appreciate everybody checking out the show. Again, he is the Stallion, I'm the Enforcer, and we are tapping out.
Best friends.